We open the 18th episode of Shinkalion with a training montage. Everyone's going into this because this is a joint training exercise. Miku and Tsurunuki are paired up first, and Tsurunuki says he'll provide cover for Miku. Miku points out that this idea is stupid because E7 is a power unit, so she should really be covering for him. Tsurunuki says otherwise, and Miku begrudgingly follows up with his plan. Tsurunuki fumbles his own plan, and Miku has to bail him out. You can guess his reaction to this. Asusa gets jealous of Miku. Lady, only one of you is a Vocaloid. Only one person here has won the battle. Shinobu and Akita do better, in that 20 seconds of screen time pass between their conversation and wasting the training unit. When it comes to Hayato and Ryuji, they beat it in less than 18 seconds in universe. Miku rightfully points out that Ryuji sorta did his own thing. Hayato's personal merits and strengths be damned. Not exactly teamwork. Ryuji argues that he's simply better than Hayato and that teamwork is meaningless if the skill difference is too great. In this argument, I tend to side with Miku on this. Sure, there are situations where one member of a team is so grossly inept or inexperienced that you later find out they got the leadership position by nepotism, but one of the aspects of being a leader in a team in the first place is knowing the strengths and weaknesses of your team, since you're only as strong as your weakest member. Then you can minimize the damages incurred by your weakest member and compensate for them. The problem with Ryuji is that he's a loner. He doesn't want to work with anyone on Team Shinkalion. He just wants to do his own thing. He might be the strongest member present, but ultimately his unwillingness to work with anyone on the team makes him ultimately the bigger liability, not Hayato. After all, N700A is only designed for close combat. If he needs range, then he is screwed. Team Shinkalion is actually annoyed by Ryuji over his general attitude. Ryuji talks about how they need experience, and experience comes with age, as does training, but Miku proceeds to hit Ryuji with her kendo blade. She does this sort of thing to expect him to block. She recognizes the stance, seeing that Ryuji is trained in karate. Ryuji won't fight alongside the children. It's not only Miku who sees through Ryuji's BS, Commander Izumi also sees through his nonsense. I mean, it's not hard. You have a ninja, a sniper, and a Vocaloid good with a sword. Hayato wants to make Ryuji acknowledge Team Shinkalion, but Hayato is a trained nerd. He's not exactly the athletic fighter type. But hey, Akita, Shinobu, and Miku are the active fighter type. Sorry, Tsurunuki. Hayato sucks at rifle sports because Hayato simply isn't breathing properly for the rifle sports. Maybe we can call Genya Shinagizawa over and teach Hayato American breathing. Hayato gets his ass handed to him by Shinobu when it comes to ninjutsu. I'm going to take Shinobu's word at it because I don't know much about ninjutsu. With Miku, Hayato also gets beaten up. This is something I am familiar with since I did do karate and I did do swordplay back in the day. There's a lot of emphasis in martial arts that comes to the stances and how and where you strike, and how properly you do it, because you're supposed to basically turn with your body when you punch, you're supposed to chamber your blocks, you're supposed to take lower stances to decrease strain on shoulder or something along those lines. Ryuji is also outside the training room and he looks unimpressed. In a conversation with Futaba, even she sees Ryuji is full of crap. She just wants to know his real motives. She also calls him out on his whole paternalistic instinct on them, saying that what he's doing isn't protection, but Ryuji leaves. Back with the kids, we see that Mother's Day is soon, so the kids go on a shopping spree. Ryuji surprisingly accepts the idea from them to go on a shopping spree. Meanwhile, with the villain, Seiryu just wants to take the Black Shinkansen out and just waltz through everyone. Genbu on life support is here. He basically tells Seiryu that, yeah, don't focus on N700A so much, there is someone else you need to focus on. Meanwhile, the kids discuss gifts, whether it's carnations or food. Miku is into stuffed animals. Ryuji instead gets an old railroad song from a music box, something that Hayato is very familiar with, and something that Akita points out that Hayato is familiar with because they heard him sing at one point. Hayato learns that Ryuji's mother isn't in the best of conditions and that he needs to rush home. Ryuji is pessimistic that her condition will change at all, be it for better or for worse, mostly for better. We also get a flashback with Ryuji and where he got his paternalistic instinct from. And as the oldest child, he has to look out for everyone. He internalized that as basically being the only competent person on the board, I guess. Then the Black Shinkansen has stopped. This is a trap. They're shocked to hear that he's communicating through the Shinkalion lines, and even more shocked to see that the Black Shinkansen has a Shinkalion form. And like any good Marvel villain, he uses powers from the good guys against them. A shuriken from Shinobu, or cannons from Akta, or just plain sword and drill like Miku and Tsurunuki. To make things more insulting, he has a finisher move called Death Grand Cross. Seiryu looms over them in victory. This ends this episode. We open the next episode with Kai Shindo laughing in the recording booth and the editors just simply leaving it in. Obviously Ryuji isn't here, so Hayato is determined to just beat Seiryu themselves. We get Ryuji with his mother. Even though she is sleeping in this still, he does manage to have a conversation with her, and it is a nice conversation that will come back later. Ryuji's on a phone call now. To sum it up, hey, your mom's doing better, hopefully. Yeah, we have something worse than a giant monstrous being. We have an enemy Shinkalion. Hayato's plan is going absolutely poorly. Even Hayato, drawn in for a melee, is going to be blasted at close range by Seiryu. Yeah, he's going to turn them into meat porridge very soon. Ryuji takes plan, blitz Seiryu with all of their finisher moves does not work. He blocks multiple attacks, more exposition about how his race will rule over the earth and not humans. One death laser later, Ryuji arrives, and then Detroit smashes the laser. This works. Somehow. Ryuji puts up a force field and tries to fight Seiryu right then and there. Ryuji and Seiryu exchange strikes, but really neither is able to get ahead of the other. Ryuji does manage to strike Seiryu, and even strikes him with a finishing move. Everyone is shocked by this, but Ryuji's free trial of theme music power-up is now over. Seiryu proceeds to smash him into the force field he's set up. I do like how the force field breaks, symbolizing that Ryuji is about to trust Team Shinkalion and open up to them for the first time. He has to before Seiryu reduces him to meat porridge. Finally, Ryuji trusts them, after getting a flashback to his mom's words. Then he begins acting as a member of the team, using his mind rather than his fist, even taking shots at Akta, saying, "Why are you trying to blitz him with barrages? You're a rifle champion. Snipe him at his weak points." Thankfully, someone said it because I was about to. He also orders Miku and Tsurunuki to be distractions. Then he will finally work with Hayato, bringing this whole thing full circle. This does much better. Ryuji enters advanced mode to kick the crap out of Seiryu, while Hayato lands the finishing blow. I wanted to bring up this still mainly because "What is this feeling" is uttered by Team Rocket whenever they blast off in the Japanese. So, Seiryu is voiced by Kai Shindo, who voiced Lily in Pokemon. Yep. Now, you cannot get that image of him blasting off again out of your head. Instead of blasting off into the sky, however, he's actually being dragged underground. Yeah, Iza is not particularly happy about the Black Shinkalion being used in combat. One thing that's changed, now the White Shinkalion, the N700A, is not the object of Seiryu's ire. The object of his ire is now Hayato. Seiryu says remember it. Should I really make a Gambit joke, or should I not? Back underground, Iza, the leader of the agents, is pretty pissed not only at Seiryu, but also all the agents for basically letting him take the Black Shinkalion out for a joyride. Ryuji is still uncomfortable working with children, trying to even act standoffish, and, well, the cast has mixed reactions. Akita can't stand him. Tsurunuki says he's just like Akita, which annoys Akita. Shinobu says there's a good guy underneath there. And Miku thinks he's just being a contrarian for the sake of being a contrarian. We at least get a smile out of Ryuji, so that's something. These episodes are fun and good. I'm kind of used to how these fight scenes play out now, but I'm glad of how they used them. While I normally would be against introducing power-ups in the middle of a fight scene, I will say this about it. Considering the force field was added for this episode and the symbolism of Seiryu smashing the force field with Ryuji in order to get Ryuji to open up to the team, I will let this slide. It's less the presence of these tropes that annoys me and more how they're executed, and I say this was executed quite well. Though if there's anything that annoys me, it's the training montage. It's not that I don't like the training montage, I'm just annoyed that they didn't try to follow up on it during the actual fight. They could have easily tried something like have Hayato draw from all the lessons he learned in order to beat Seiryu, but I think that would just drag out the climax too long, and it's kind of a damned you do, damned you don't. You want to preserve the drama of Seiryu just overpowering everyone, including Ryuji, on an individual basis. But you also want to make sure that the character training, even though Hayato spent most of it being beaten up, doesn't actually go to waste and we just didn't waste our screen time with them. So, catch 22. Maybe it will show up in a future episode. Those are just my thoughts on the matter. Please consider liking, subscribing, tipping the channel on Ko-fi. This is Cyril signing off.